by having to be in a deficit, I had to feed my body correctly. So I always say, do as I say, not as I do, because I'm one of the most requested guys to guest post. They had to adapt and get smarter and think, how can we make this, how can I survive during this craziness? So I like that. I like that we had to get forced to do something like that and go outside of our comfort zone.
Well, first of all, how you been? And how was because last time I came to your house, that was right before the pandemic. We were shooting film, and then we had a sit-down interview, and then like a couple months later, like maybe like 3 or 4 months later, the pandemic hit, and everything got shut down. So how was that time for you?
I'm okay. The family's okay. Obviously, with the newborn, it was actually, in one sense, it was pretty cool to be able to be with my son, my newborn, so much and be at those moments. So that was a plus. And then I love the fact that I had to think outside the box to continue forward. Mostly because all the movies got shut down, and especially out here in California. California is even harsher than anywhere else, I think, with the shutdown, lockdowns, and people's personalities and stuff when it comes to this whole COVID thing. So it was tough out here, but we survived.
By the way, I was wanted to ask you, did having a son, did it affect you in any way, change you? A lot of people have like different experiences when they have kids, you know? They say like the whole life changes. Is that the same for you?
Tremendous. The typical stuff, you got to start thinking about the future more so than just yourself. Because I've always been a future guy. I've always been lifting and going, hey, how can I continue to do this? How can I do this over 4 decades? How can I do that? And now it's, well, how can I tussle with my son in 20 years and give him somebody to beat down in a sense, like, and how can I continue forward in that sense? And how can I set him up to win in the future? And so it changes my whole mindset of not just what can we do in the future, but how can I set him up to be something and carry on? So in those aspects, it changed it quite a bit. And so it gave me even more motivation, which just keeps coming. As I think you're the same as me. We get more focused in a narrower road, in a sense that our focus, we don't get distracted as much as we get older. And so I think that's a great point of it too. I know what I need to take care of. I know what I have to do and what wastes my time.
Last time we sat down, you told me your schedule, right? Which was pretty crazy. I mean, for me, it was pretty crazy. You wake up at 4 a.m., I believe, right? Go to the gym. The whole day is just so, planned out. Go to sleep early, which is like, is it the same now? Did you adjust anything?
We adjusted it. I've been lucky in a sense that I've been able to have my gyms, and so in some sense that's worked out great for us. But I also got to do this, being one of the top 5 guys in the world, being requested for guest posings. That had me crazy the last 7 years. And so the one thing it would allowed me to do is that those got all canceled. So I wasn't traveling every single weekend. And so as you and I talk about nutrition and training and stuff, and me staying in a deficit all year long to stay on stage and look good, that's destructive to the body. And so I got to go off season. I got to kick back and almost like, in a sense, fix whatever little owies or injuries I had, and allow me to just go off season and go a surplus of calories. So it was a huge benefit. And so my schedule wasn't as crazy. It wasn't 4 in the morning, because we were training mostly at the house here, with that gym that you saw. And so we've been doing 5 or 6, but the days, I imagine just like you, we can fill our day up with work. And Mona and me is 7 days a week. So it's one of those things that it's not, oh, hey, Sunday, we get to relax today. We're still working.
Yeah. I did some research, right? And a lot of the very successful people in the world, they follow that method where you have super, like 4, 5, kind of handling a lot of the tasks before everybody else wakes up. Is that kind of like, did you structure your mindset based on that, or was it natural to you?
I didn't structure it that way until I was 20 and I learned about all these individuals. And then I go, holy sheesh, I've been doing this the last 11 years. And then at 20, I realized, by 17, I was in the magazines like we talked about. And so it's like, I'm doing something here that is setting me up to win. And then I looked at all these other individuals, and I think as you grow and you continue to level up, and you're more around people that are successful, and then a different level of success, and a different level of success, you find out these little traits that all these individuals have, and you kind of go, wow, they're very similar when it breaks down to small little minute things like just getting up early. And so I continued that 100%, just because it's two reasons. One is I love the fact that I feel like the movie I Am Legend with Will Smith and his dog. I get up at 3 in the morning or 4 in the morning, and it's just me and my dog, and we're heading off to the gym, and there's nobody awake. But I also feel like I'm getting a kickstart on everybody else. We all got 24 hours. We all got 7 days a week. And I remember that I think it was Trump that talked about this, and he said, if you want to be successful, it's not 9 to 5. 9 to 5 is the average, right? And that's usually paycheck to paycheck. I loved how his approach was, we have weekends, so that gives me another week over anybody else because we work Saturday and Sunday. So you start adding all these things up, and you start adding up hours that you get up relative to when you go to bed or your work thing. It's a crazy, it was some crazy number, like you get 2 more months a year of where you can work on success relative to the individual that always takes the Friday, Saturday, Sunday off kind of thing, or weekends and vacations and all that. And we love what we do, so it's not like it's work. So we're okay doing that, and it gives us so much more time. So early in the morning, and we love working. So
I have a question about that. So how do you not burn out with that? Because it sounds like a robot. You wait, you follow such a regime, you count the hours you work. I mean, how do you not burn out? I understand somebody can do that for a year, let's say, right?
Yeah.
Well, you've been doing it your whole life.
Yeah.
How do you still continue even to be motivated to do it every day?
I figured out it was 42 years now. I've been doing it 4 in the morning, and lifting. 42 years, and people are like, how do you do that? And I saw somebody talk about it, and it's such a true point. You don't get burned out by doing something you love. You get burned out by doing things that don't give you passion. Everything we do, and everything I've done in my lifetime, I didn't cut corners in the sense it was no give and take. It was like, this is how I kind of want to set my life up. This is what I like. This is fun for me. This is passionate for me. I'm going to do everything I can to stay with that and do those kind of things. And so it's I never got burnt out from it. The only thing I do get is like this last year is by having to be in a deficit, I had to feed my body correctly. So I always say, do as I say, not as I do, because I'm one of the most requested guys to guest post. That puts me in a situation to where I always have to, mostly for me, I want to come into guest pose in shape. I don't want to be an off-season guest poser. And that's why I keep getting booked and booked. But at the same time, that's hurtful to the body. So this last year really helped me be able to take my physique to a whole new level. And now that we start guest posing here in a couple of weeks, it's exciting to be able to reveal. Actually, I put on muscle, a lot of muscle this last year. And so when I get to go guest pose again, it's like, it gave me more passion, more oomph. So yeah, I don't burn out because it's fun. It's fun.
So about sleep, right? So obviously, according to doctors, humans supposed to sleep 8 hours a day, right? That's what they recommend. Now I heard Steve Harvey, right? He made a speech, and he was like, if you sleep 8 hours a day, you can't be successful. In other words, entertain, it's just impossible. Then I heard somebody else, some other speeches basically promoting sleep. Like, no, you have to sleep. You should get as much sleep as possible. That way you're more attentive, more productive in your business, gym, or whatever. So what is your take on sleep? What do you think? 8 hours or?
I think 7.5 hours is the doctor requirement to try to get your body recovered, muscle recovery, brain function, all those kind of things. And I agree with it. I think that kind of sleep is good. I do get to bed pretty early though. So I'm pretty good. I shut it off at 8 o'clock. I'm done. And then I'm up at 3 in the morning. So I get a good 7 hours or so sleep. And then I also
You
get
believe in sleep. You think it's good for you.
I think it's 100% good for you. I really do. And it's a crazy thing. Like if I'm working with somebody on nutrition and I can have them on a great nutrition plan, a great training plan, everything's perfect. Everything's perfect except their sleep. All I do is change their sleep and their body changes. So sleep's, yeah, you can't, and also remember, sleep is going to keep you youthful. There's a grind to that. You start skipping sleep, but you got to schedule it in like anything else. I can shut off the TV and go to bed and shut off my mind at 8 o'clock. I'm done. And I had a friend come over. He's funny. This guy's coming over. We're going to do this huge lecture this next day. And he just gets over there like around 7:40 to the house. And he talks about this when he went on stage because it was like, all right, you're here. All right, take care. I'm going to bed. It's schedule. You schedule it, you schedule. I'm not staying up and talking and partying with him. I'll see him the next day on the schedule. So that's how I'm pretty regimented that way.
So what about like, do you meditate? Do you do any type of like mental exercises or breathing exercises?
I do if you ever seen me work out, that's my meditation. It's a calming battle, almost like a peaceful warrior in a sense. I love going under the weights, and I can turn it on and turn it off, a switch. Being an athlete my whole life, gladiators until mid-40s, is one of those things from young teenager, not even teen, prepubescent, doing martial arts and competing to now. I can get under the weight and shut off everybody else outside of it without music and still be in my head listening to what the voices are saying. And so that's my meditation. And I actually love that meditation. I love the battle of the weights and getting into that fight. Relative to, I ask my training partners not to cheer for, you know how, come on, let's go, man. Say nothing. I want nothing. I'll get this myself, and that's just me in my head, and it's a very important thing. So if you can't meditate while you work out, get some kind of medication or alone time to where you can veg and just kind of prioritize prioritize what's important, clean out the mind, get rid of the negative, put some positive in there.
Have you ever dealt with anxiety? Like, it seems like you know, this is your kind of meditation. The gym kind of clears everything for you, right? But one of the biggest questions we get a lot of emails about it. People dealing with a lot of anxiety, right? Especially right now. But I mean, I think it's always been the case. You know what I mean? Like, people deal with negative thoughts, anxiety, financial problems, kind of builds up. So
Yeah.
that's why some people can't go to sleep at night, like just the way you do. You know what I mean? Have you ever dealt with anxiety or just your mind, like, or even depression?
Yeah, I got pretty depressed when I lost my mom. I lost my dad prior to that, but I tried to do the tough guy thing. That's life. My dad passed, move on kind of thing. And then I lost my mom, and all the emotions of not dealing with losing my dad and losing my mom crushed me, physically crushed me. And I was in a bad relationship at the time as well. And so it was just all the mixture of these things. And I dropped, complete depression. The only thing, and I think it was because it was such a habit for me, the only thing I was doing outside of feeling sorry for myself and angry and depressed and mad at the world that I lost both parents, and is that I kept training and eating right. And that was just because I'm out of habit of doing it for 30 years. So it was one of those things. And I also learned at that point, which was late in my life, I didn't really learn about the point of it's about you making yourself happy. You cannot depend on somebody else. And if you're depending on somebody else to make you happy, there's some issues that need to be dealt with. And you got to be able to be alone, in a sense, and be happy with being alone. Because being alone doesn't mean you're alone. You can be alone with a group of 10 people because you're dealing with stuff. And so it was one of those things that I finally dealt with issues for myself at that time when I lost my mom. And then I pulled myself out of that depression with time. And I understood this, which I hope everybody out there listens to this. Don't rush it. Don't do this stupid thing that I did with my dad, going, hey, that's life, oh well. It is what it is. I hate that saying. It is what it is. No, it's my dad. He's a superhero to me. I should have let it out. I should have talked to her. I should have been emotional about it. And then when my mom did it, I'm glad I did it. And I'm also glad that I didn't depend on anybody else to come out of that. For me, I'm glad I didn't. I'm not saying that for anybody else. If you're dealing with depression, talk to somebody, have somebody there for you. But I'm glad I did it with myself because I needed to at that point, and I was getting up in age, and then I didn't deal with that aloneness or anything like that. And so that was one of the biggest things that I think with anybody right now going through depression or going through with anything, talk to somebody. Don't do this whole I'm a tough guy kind of thing. I don't need to talk about it.